Uh, Today is actually our eighth webinar in the 2026 Spring NDE World Language, NEBLA and CLTA Special Interest Group K-12 Guest Speaker Series. So today we have our NEBLA board, Nebraska Language Association. Four of them, they're going to present a roundtable discussion as conference roadshow comes home. We know this in the spring, we lost some funding and some teachers are not able to go to conferences. So that's why we have this. Thank you. Okay, now my lovely NEBLA board, take it away. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we can go ahead and get started with just some introductions of who we are. And then we'll get into some of the benefits of conferences when you are able to go, and then how to navigate that setting of professional conferences. And then some of the conferences that we have here locally coming up, and then some of our takeaways that we have from some of our colleagues here joining us today. So just to get us started, my name's Hannah, and I'm our NEBLA president-elect. Terry, if you want to go next.
Sure, I am Terry, and I am this year's NEBLA president, and I'm excited to be here today. And it was a wonderful conference, so I'm glad to be able to share some highlights.
Hi, I mean, most of you know me for sure, but my name is Joseba Moreno, and I'm the NEBLA treasurer. I'm also the treasurer for the Spanish Teacher Association in Nebraska as well for NATSP. So I've been doing that for a couple of years, trying to help a little bit on the shadows. I'm not I'm a little reserved, but well, sometimes. But I like this position more than public positions. But yeah, I mean, I would like to talk about that also in the conference. As a person that is not super social in those big groups of people, I will also give you my tricks to avoid people in a good way. In a good way.
Thank you so much, Joseba. That was perfect. I totally agree with that. You're speaking my language. I'm Kelly Garcia. I'm NEBLA secretary and also NATSP president this year. It's good to be here and thank you all for coming.
Awesome. Okay, so with that, we can kind of get started, and this is a roundtable discussion, so we can keep it pretty open. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask. We'll keep it very conversational, and do ask questions so that we can make sure that we're making it as valuable as possible for you, so that we can really get the most out of this session. So for some benefits to attending conferences, as we all know, they're great opportunities to do some networking, meet new colleagues from, depending on what the scope is of the conference, from across your local area, your region, or even nationally or internationally, depending on where you're going. It's a place to learn new strategies, to gain new ideas to use in your classrooms. It's also a place where you can meet some vendors, potentially get some discounts. Today you'll hear from some interesting vendors that some of our colleagues got to talk to a bit. And you also can sometimes get prizes from attending some of these conferences. So I know for some of us, like at Central States, there was things like free registration for conferences in the future, or even free subscriptions to Language Magazine, which offers articles on professional development, language education all across the world, and things that are all about world language teaching and language learning, which is, of course, what we all do. And if Terry or Joseba or Kelly could keep an eye on the chat, because I can't toggle between the presentation and
Yes,
the
I have the
chat.
same problem, but I'll keep an eye. Right now, you're good. It just says we all love swag from Kelly, which we do.
It's true. I
But
should have
I
put that
guess
as
I
a
just wanted
benefit.
to add on a little bit to your thing that one of the things that I don't think people expect, especially when they go for the first time, is many times world language teachers feel sort of isolated in their buildings. And so to sit in a workshop with 25 other French teachers or 25 other German or Japanese or Chinese, whatever, Spanish as well, it's an amazingly validating feeling. It just makes you feel like, okay, yeah, I'm glad I'm here. And the other thing, too, another benefit is no matter when the conference is, but especially in the spring, I don't know about you guys, but my kids sometimes get a little squirrely. And you know what? I love that I get that not only some new ideas for things to put into my classroom, but also I get some re-energizing. I'm like, oh, dang, I used to do that, and I probably should, yeah, that would be fun to do again. I forgot. So that little piece of energy to just tell you, hey, this is remind you of your passion of why it is that you do what you do, is, I think, a really, really important benefit of attending conference also.
Mhm. Joseba or Kelly, do you have anything that you want to add for some benefits?
I'm not trying. I'm gonna maybe hold on until we are talking. So I don't want to anticipate too much. I think it's a great intro. Yeah, I already have even ideas about what Terry said, so I'm not gonna. But yeah, I think you're right. It's a reminder of sometimes, no, like you go there and it's just teaching materials. It's an ideal environment. So yeah, it's a good way of remember that we are also it's not the main point sometimes, but we are also experts in content, and we like the content. That's why we are
Right.
teaching. It's not methodology or it's not administration. It's like Terry likes French. I like English, but I'm here teaching Spanish. Kelly likes Spanish. So yeah, we all like those things. It's
Right.
our job, and sometimes yeah, we forget. But as I said, I'm not trying to talk out of turn too much at the beginning. So don't worry. But yeah, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
And I
All right.
also want to comment a little bit. Conferences are actually a great opportunity for us to get to know those very important person, VIPs, big figures in the field. Because when they are
Yes.
presenting and you go to their conferences, their presentation and ask questions and then, wait a little bit and then you can introduce yourself to them. And I get to know many, many great experts this way, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's a great example too, Crystal. Thank you.
I think especially for bosses like Crystal or Hannah, you know, it's very important for you guys, no? To me, I mean, I'm always surprised at all these people. Like, yeah, the person in charge of the seal of biliteracy. Most of the times I don't talk to them, but at least I put a face on them.
Right.
For Crystal, for Hannah, for Nick, no, Nick Ziegler, it's important to make those like actual connections, no? Because you guys are like admin or you work more like leadership roles. But yeah, for us as teachers, it's like to put a face is also good. To put a face, even though I might not want to talk to them too much, but to put the face and oh, that's the person. So in case I see them, I'll watch what I say or I listen more carefully, something like that.
Yeah. Something to like pay attention to, right? Yeah, that's great. Um, right. So we also added some strategies on like how to navigate a conference. Depending on the conference, I remember the first conference that I ever went to, a professional conference, was ACTFL, and it was huge.
Me too.
And
That was
I
my
had
first one
never
too.
been to something that big before. And there's like hundreds of sessions, maybe thousands of people, like for sure thousands of people, and it can be a little overwhelming. And so I think one of the best things that you can do for yourself, but also just to kind of make the most out of your very precious and limited time that you have and knowing that you're one person, is like downloading the app ahead of time. If there's a program that you can look at ahead of time, making sure that you do that and just like being prepared. It's almost like planning a class or planning your lessons, right? Making sure that you do all of your prep ahead of time and thinking about some guiding questions or some problems that might be things that you have been thinking a lot about. Are you struggling with something in your classes that's really something that you want to improve upon? Are you really looking for ways to improve your student engagement? Are you really looking for ways to get your students speaking more in class? What's something that's kind of guiding your focus? Because there's so many sessions and all of them are interesting. That's why there's sessions at a conference, right? So what's something that's a core maybe question or issue or problem that you're having, and then read through those session descriptions and then see if some of those kind of help to guide, help with that guiding question or that guiding problem
I
to
would say
see if,
too, I'm sorry
yeah,
to interrupt. I would say too, as you read through those descriptions, more often than not, there may be more than one that you're really interested in. And one of the great things about traveling with other people is that you could say, okay, I'm going to take notes on this one. You go take notes on that one. And you get the information for the speakers. And then you kind of share them out, kind of like we're doing here, but
yep.
you can do it right at the conference. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, and I put that at the very bottom too, like debrief those sessions, discuss,
Yep.
take notes, like talk with your friends, talk with your colleagues, right? Make friends at those conferences so that you can say, "Oh, hey, we met at this last one. Oh, did you go to that session? What you learned there?" Right? Learn from those people that you're seeing kind of throughout these spaces. And even if they're people that you've met in the past, like, "Oh, you went to that conference? Oh, I couldn't go to that, but what'd you learn? What were some of those main takeaways?" Because there are as Crystal mentioned, as Dr. Liu mentioned, there are situations where we don't have funding or we don't have an opportunity to attend every conference and we can't, right? There's so many and we are so, I mean, we're one person, right? So talk to those people. What did they learn? Learn from them. And then think about when you're looking at those session descriptions and all of those sessions, think about the presenters that are presenting and think about the motives. I think one of the potential pitfalls sometimes when choosing what sessions to attend is is it someone who is solving a problem potentially that you're looking for? Or is it someone, are they presenting something that they have a product for and it's really a sales pitch? Consider the motive behind the presentation. I think a lot of the times they're really, really great presentations that have tons of activities, tons of resources behind them, and they're really useful and really purposeful. But that is something to consider too. And if you're not in a place where you're looking to purchase something, is that something that's going to be beneficial to you or something that's going to cause more frustration? That's something to consider when choosing what sessions to maybe attend versus skip and go to a different session to just make those critical decisions. And then, as Terry just mentioned, take tons of notes. Does anyone have someone to add there too? Sorry if I cut you off.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that I think it's really important as you're in the sessions and you're talking to people. As Hannah said, some of those presenters that are presenting a product or doing whatever, usually they will mark those. They'll say like a presenter session or something like that, especially at ACTFL. But don't necessarily shy away from those. One of the things that I like
That's
about
true.
them is that they are a lot of times like if it's all French teachers in the room, they'll speak French, and it's just kind of fun that it's individualized like that. Also, though, I attended one on Senegal. And of course, the lady has set up like trips and experiences to go there. So yeah, she has, a motive that maybe you want to go to Senegal with her. But the presentation itself was really interesting and have stuff to bring across too. So definitely, I think it's not a bad idea to not go in there blind. But I mean, it's not like there's people there trying to, ambush you or something like that either. So it could be a part of the process, but that does need to factor into your choosing,
Yeah.
your decisions, definitely, as Hannah said.
Yes, for sure. And of course, there's like tons of different experiences. It just depends on what you're looking for. Um, and then those final 2 points are looking at debriefing those notes after the sessions. And I like to take some time just to like think through by myself and debrief and think about the applications to like, what can I take back to classrooms? What can I take back to school contexts? What are things that can be implemented across like big systems, across like individuals? How can I like leverage little pieces? What things can I share? What things do I think of someone else immediately and say, oh my goodness, I got to share this with this person because this is like something that we've talked about, right? Think about who are your network people, who are your connections, your friends, your colleagues, and what are the things that you just learned that you can share instantly? And then where are your people within that space? They might be people that you send a text or an email to, but they might be people who are there with you, right? They might be people that you work with that you're able to travel to these spaces with, or they might be people that you've met there already. I have a colleague who we say like has never met a stranger. So they walk up to someone they've never met and they're like instant best friends, right? So they'll get together, they'll debrief on what they learned. And so those people are the kinds of people that you also want to try to network with because you're going to learn twice as much from them. Because if they're going to all different sessions than you went to, you're going to get all the learning from the sessions you went to and all the learning that they went to as well.
I don't know about you guys, but I really find in general for my entire career, world language teachers are very, what I call sherry, which is not really a word, but they are very happy to share materials
Yes.
and they want to help you have success and they get personal. Oh, just like a feeling of accomplishment just because they're helping you out. And so, I mean, I'm sure that there are in other disciplines as well, but I just know that world language teachers kind of have a reputation for wanting to share a bunch of stuff and not charge you and get you in a good place.
Yeah.
Also,
Maybe.
around this topic too, I know it's kind of easy to say, but my advice to our conferences, for many reasons, is to try to present too. Always try to present something as a way of being more involved. But I think it's very useful also when we are asking for money to attend to a conference. When you tell administrators that you want to go to a conference, depends who you're talking to, what is the conference, there might, sometimes there is a little bit of distrust. But if you're presenting, I think that, we are representing our schools or our institutions, that obviously, put administrators in a different place, no? I mean, harder, sorry, I'm talking always from the teacher point of view. I know it's not adversarial, but, sometimes it is. So it's harder for them to say no to your requests for money, I think, when you are presenting, because if they say no, then you are not representing their school, on the national stage or the state, at state level. And it's been always worked for me. It has always worked for me. I've never been rejected. School, as my school, my college, or my institution say, no, you can't go. And I think it's because I was always presenting. ESU5 is very generous. They give us, they give us a lot of professional development. So I have felt less judgment from my, supervisors when I want to go to the conference, because usually they come with me and they understand that it's a real work event. I'm not trying to, run away, go somewhere exotic like Denver, in February. So that's one of my advice. And then I'm a big note taker, like for many reasons as well. So something that I always do, I've been doing it for a bunch of years now, is like I try to pick a topic and I try to stick to it for all the sessions. In a big conference like ACTFL or ACTSP, it's very easy because there is tracks, like like explicit tracks. So it's very easy. Maybe in a smaller conference, could be more of a challenge, but it helps me stay focused, and also it's very useful for me because then I establish a relation between the sessions, and then I think more generally. Usually works very well for me because I see what different people are thinking about the same topic, and it allows me to see different points of views from that topic. I think it's very useful because then also you develop some notes on one topic, right? So you can repurpose those for many things. That can be what you show when you come back from the conference. That's also what I usually share with my coworkers, right? So they have that knowledge there, and most of the times they haven't been to all the sessions, right? So in that sense, I think like notes are very, very interesting. I know it's not, oh yeah, well, it's right, it's nothing crazy, but yeah. I think like they are really a good, for me, really good strategy at conferences. And then also, with new tools like AI, it's very, very easy to organize your notes, to make them look pretty, to make them, to summarize them, to synthesize everything. It's not, usually, unless you have like very dispersed thoughts or things, you are using your own particular language, the results are pretty useful, I would say, at least. Like I really like just like feeding like 2 pages of like, bullet points and then like retrieve like a little, a paragraph. Sometimes the graphs are a little fake, but they look pretty too, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, about navigating conferences, yeah, that's something that I tend to do, the note taking. It also helps me avoiding talking to people during the session.
I would
But
also
still
say too,
synthesizing.
oh, yes, absolutely. That is fantastic. And presenting, I think, is a fantastic way to take a step up and network with people. Definitely. No question about that. And just also to kind of feel validated and feel like, feel good about yourself that you are able to offer something to the population that can be helpful. I wanted to go back just to the app of things, because they used to give you a nice big conference booklet that was like a, paperback little book about this big that had all the session descriptions, and you had to kind of page through and find. If you saw the name of the workshop, you may not know from the name of it exactly for sure what it was going to be about, or you might assume wrong. So they have little session descriptions that you can read. The beauty of these apps nowadays is that they have the locations and they have the descriptions of the sessions right in your phone. So you can like, or an iPad, you can scoot right in there and kind of see what you're going to. And then if like, let's say you get to a session and it isn't exactly what you thought, it is 100% okay to go to a different session. It is totally okay if you had two on your list and this one you get there and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure. I had it happen to me that my first choice on one of them was really, really very full and it was kind of spilling out the doors. And so I had a second choice kind of really close nearby. So I ended up going to that instead. So, I mean, for various reasons, it's not a bad idea. Also, if they happen to change locations in the course of the conference, it's kind of nice with the app because they can update that a little bit more easily than updating a printed book that they've already put out there. So, I've had a lot of good luck with those apps, and they just they can set up so they give you notifications when a session that you really want to attend is happening and stuff like that. So I would say that's definitely a good place to begin. And if you get overwhelmed, don't worry. Grab somebody that's been there before. We'll be around and we'll give you a hand at figuring things out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They also usually have like a my session so you don't get overwhelmed and see all of them all at once, which is sometimes
Right.
crazy to look at.
I think like something I forgot. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad leaving presentations whenever I want to leave. I understand that the first time maybe it's like, oh, I am leaving a room, but and fatigue is real. 3 days listening to presentations. The third day, your brain might be overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
no shame. If you
Right.
have to leave, you have to leave, right? We are all professionals, I think. But yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, sometimes after 3 days listening, in my case, because I tend to choose a topic, the third day is like, okay, somebody else has said that already 3 times, and then you need to judge, am I getting something concrete from this presentation that I really want to say? Yes. If it's no,
Right.
no, I don't think it's crazy to leave and to rest, and to go through your notes, whatever, take a break. Absolutely.
Right.
In my opinion.
So some upcoming conferences that you might want to think about for world language teaching. Of course, we have to self-promote, right? So
Of course.
So our NEBLA conference is coming up this year in the fall. So October 17th is when we'll be doing that. It's a Saturday. So if one of the challenges that you're facing is that you can't take days from teaching, no worries. This is on a Saturday. And it's at Millard South High School, which is also the home of Terry. So thank you
Yes.
for hosting.
Mhm.
And so we have our draft flyer. Um,
I like it. I think it looks very nice.
right? Okay. Um, so you're more than welcome. Registration is open. Um, I think yes. So registration is open. You can register with the QR code. It just takes you to our NEBLA website. We have a keynote speaker. We're talking all about biliteracy this year. Our keynote speaker is from the Global Seal of Biliteracy, Dr. Linda Egnatz. So please make sure to look at that as an option. We've also been discussing ACTFL briefly and mentioning that if you're interested in that, that's the national conference for the whole country. So it's the American like whole country one. That's November 20th through 22nd. So that does require taking some days if you're a teacher off of teaching. That'll be in San Antonio, Texas this year. And then Central States is within the Midwest region. And that'll be happening next year, March 11th through 13th in Lansing, Michigan. So I'll leave this up for a little bit if you want to take a picture of it or if you're scanning that QR code. And then, like I said, that registration link should be open. So if you're scanning that QR code, you can go ahead and register for NEBLA now, which is really
Woo,
exciting.
woo, woo. What did we tell you about watching for people who might ambush you and
Yeah, right. We
try
literally
to
just said,
get you to
look up
go to a
that.
conference or something?
And if you were inspired by Joseba and thinking about presenting, we have not put out that call for proposals yet, but it will be up soon if you want to stalk the website for a little bit. So
Very
that's
good.
that. Okay, I'll move on.
On the chat too that AATSP is July 8th to 11th in Orlando, Florida. That's the American Association of Teachers of Spanish and Portuguese.
There we go.
So
Right?
in the summertime, so that's
Yeah.
nice.
Uh-huh.
And there's also an AATF conference in the summer as well.
Yep. Yeah,
There we
Usually
go.
July.
they do that always. They try to make it like a summer vacation thingy.
In the summer.
They-
That's smart.
It's
Okay.
expensive too.
So now we'll move into the takeaways portion of our roundtable discussion. So we'll start with Kelly, and if you could just walk us through, tell me when to click for you.
Okay, no problem. Thank you for that. Basically, I go looking for things that catch my imagination, and right now it's the AI technology. Like these guys that are the people that run these, I like going to vendors when I go to conference. That's my jam. I like presentations and I like to present, but I also like to hit the vendors, especially with, free trials and that kind of thing of technology where my students they need to speak more. I think we can all agree on that. We need to be able to give them feedback in a timely manner as well. So this Speakology, I have tried this. I have a 90-day, you know, free trial of it. It gives my students speaking practice and it gives impartial feedback. So it doesn't care who the kid is, or, if I know they're a better student, I might be pickier and give different feedback. It's basically based on the topic and their level of language. So the AI does what it does. And then they take that feedback into account ideally, and then they would go back at it and try again. I say try each activity 3 times because it does also give an average score and shows the high score too in some cases. And like I said, the free trial is huge for me because my students need to practice it. And every time I try a new technology with my kids, I tell them try to break it, like do it my way and then go off the rails and start speaking English and start doing, I give them some ideas and see how it handles that. So you can click that Speakology dashboard for me if you wish, Hannah. Since you put the link in there, you know what you're doing.
I don't know if it'll uh
You know,
okay, can you still see the screen if I do that?
There we go. I see. And hopefully it'll be my dashboard there. And Crystal has popped the link for Speakology in. Can you continue with Google and see what happens? It should have gone right to my dashboard, but Crystal
I
has
think it
popped the
has to
link
log in.
into the, okay, it has put the link, Crystal's got the link in the chat. Basically, the dashboard shows the students' names and what their average score is. And I can actually see the feedback from my teacher dashboard. I see what feedback was given to my student on any assignment I have given. And then I can see a transcript of what they said, even though the transcription, if they're speaking Spanish, is not perfect. It gives me a general idea. And on the speaking activities, I can even click and hear the recording for myself. So for me, that's awesome. It's got a lot of good features in there, but like I said, I go for the free trial and then see how hard I can use it and how much effort it is for the students, or if there's, tech issues that we might need to solve, because some schools have things really buttoned down for their students. So we try to see just how or if we can integrate that into what we already do. Okay, you can go to the next one if you need to.
If you send me a screenshot, I'll blur out the names and then I can upload it that way.
Okay, maybe we can do that here in a minute. I'll have to go from one to the other. So Speaky Space, Dr. Ziegler and I mostly Dr. Ziegler, I was there for the conversation. I was, I've got my dashboard and there's a free and paid version, but Dr. Ziegler was talking to these two brothers with their last name, I think was Lambert. And I don't know. And their last name was Lambert. And they have come up with created this speaky space for Spanish practice. And they don't look very far out of high school themselves. They're young guys. And there's a free version, a paid version, and 10 minutes a day is free. I think anything more than that, if you want to do that, then you need paid version of it. But it lets you choose the topic for conversation and feedback as well. You just see how you did and then you try again. But there's a lot of topics, but you have to type in what you want to talk about. Like, do you want to be at a restaurant? Do you want to do this or that? So I would recommend you go try all of these things and just see how you like them. You can go to the next one. Okay, now this one has Spanish and French, but it's more of, like you said, consider what their motive is. This is a per student price, okay? But they give you a free trial. It's Spanish or French. So the lingo, it has videos for students to watch. It has interactive tasks that they can do. It has actual lessons and modules kind of built into it, like we would use Canvas, if that makes sense, right? So anyway, there's great tech support and training. Jimmy Moorhead at Linko is always up for a Zoom meeting. He's always willing to give you the demo and show you all the bells and whistles. And if you are looking for something that you need and you and your district or whatever can pay like 30, 35 per student, this might be the thing you need. There are so many resources there that it boggles the mind, honestly. And he has included a slide deck for us here. Anyone who has rights to the presentation, you can click there and see Jimmy's slides where he walks you through all of the things. Anybody want to jump in? This is basically what I got.
I think actually all of those things. I mean, it's easy to, as you're especially going around to vendors, and I agree with you about the vendors. Some people are afraid to talk to them, but I think you really can find out some valuable things. And maybe what you find out is that it's not for you, or that it's too much and you can't do it. But at least you know. So I like to kind of check in and see what kind of new technologies out there. So thank you, Kelly, for scoping those out for us and putting us in a place to ask for some potential free trials.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, Kelly is good at that, When you see her in the conferences, she's got a good eye for those I mean, better than me, for sure. I get very awkward around vendors. I don't know why. I know I keep thinking, it's not that I'm completely socially, bad. It's just like, I don't know, groups of people make me very nervous. Anyway, so is it my turn? Should I talk? So it's my turn now, officially.
Yep.
Are we doing this? Okay. Bueno, chicos, entonces, as I told you already, I usually pick a topic. My topic last year and the previous year, especially, 2 years ago, I was like, ooh, AI, this thing. Last year was again AI because I do have a very practical approach like Ellie. I like to get practical things out of the conference. That's why I take notes. I do accept free samples always. I usually do turn down demos and free trials because I know they are usually, what they are not what they seem to be. They always, because then you get so many emails from, like, how do you call these guys? Salesmen, and things like that. And I do not like that very much because I know they want to sell me something. I know they could care less about education, but that's me. And some of them might care about education, but I chose a general approach to this. So this time, or this in this instance, in the Southwest Conference of Language Teaching, I chose to identify presenters or topics that I interpreted as a reaction to the having AI everywhere, because at this point we have AI for everything now. It kind of lost a little bit of the meaning, we just like do everything with AI, which is I don't mind. I love arguing or discussing topics and learning things through ChatGPT, but I was trying to identify those people that are choosing to go against the current a little bit, and I had very good results. I think that it wasn't my imagination. There was an actual track in this conference or a group of presenters that were focusing on how not to use AI in class, since everybody wants to learn how to use AI in class, seems so. So I attended some presentations. I did notice that probably half of them were college, so they were incorporating a little bit more the critical thinking, or the teachers were much more relaxed in terms of teaching load, because it's not the same if like we teach 6 periods a day or 4 classes a week, right? If I can have my students, I have time for all my classes for prepping, it's gonna be amazing. But sometimes I understand that it's a practical issue. But I did notice like a big reaction, and I noticed a lot of like physical activities. I know that that's common always, but as a way of saying, look, we are doing this because we are losing a little bit of the point of teaching, and we are maybe going overboard with technology. So let's stop. Instead of going so fast, let's go slower and focus on real cultural activities, right? Like I saw a lot of games. I was with Kelly actually in a game one, and so a lot of analog games, no computers, not even paper, just like how you call that in English, like party cake, things like that. Very, very, very basic things that I used to do in elementary school, and they make a lot of sense because our speakers, their speaking level is low, so we cannot just having them, like reading Shakespeare or reading Chaucer in like Spanish in A2. So I think that those presentations spoke to me, and that is for me a way of feeling more useful. Again, as I said, it's very personal strategy, to do the topic and to stick to it. But it's what helps me also talk to people. I know I keep saying like, oh, I don't want to talk to people, but what I mean is like, I don't know how to talk to people without having something to talk about, right? Or I get nervous. So being able to go to the presenter and compare what they say to the previous one or related to the previous one, I think is very, very helpful, at least for me. That's what I was writing that on the stimuli overload. It's like a lot of people are smiling, a lot of people are talking. So sometimes, the rules are a little more, I don't know, not abstract. You don't know what are you supposed to do, you know. So the notes again, they give me like just like something to hold on. I like to just like look at my phone or something. So I have my computer. It helps me not getting distracted. I get very distracted, if I'm not like paying attention to something. And then my notes are not only my notes, my notes are, as I told you before, my notes are the beginning of a paper, the beginning of a presentation, and then my notes are things that I take to my classroom. Obviously, it's not like just like I'm going to take notes because I'm supposed to be a good attendee. No, I like to use them properly, and maybe the same way that Kelly goes to the vendors, picking materials that are going to help her in her classroom. That's what I do with the notes, right? I really, really pay attention to the resources that I can use in my class, right? The specific resources. I really like to find general resources, not only Spanish specific, because that way I can talk to other teachers, language teachers. It doesn't have to be only Spanish teachers. I also understand Terry when she's not like a whole class, the whole you go to other languages and people are talking in the language you're teaching, which is not maybe as common as listening to people speaking in Spanish, right? That is also a really interesting thing, and I value that a lot, even if I don't show it, very explicitly. But for example, like in these presentations, in this particular conference, I could tell the presenter was from Spain because he was sharing, rhymes and kids games that I did in my school when I was a kid for fun, not for learning. So, for example, unexpectedly, I got a little bit more, carried away. I was participating a lot and I was yelling. I was being the loudest, among everybody else because I liked it. So, I'm going a little away, but from my slide. But I think that those are all. That's my particular experience. I think like you guys can get a lot of things out of a lot of things that you like to do, or the opposite that you would like to do at a conference. But I also think like it's a good idea not to try to stress yourself because you are subjected to a lot of content also. So you can just like remember everything. You're not going to use all the ideas, and it's not going, and there is going to be moments, like I was saying before, that you are bored and and that you don't want to listen to the presenter because it's boring. You've heard that before, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think we should feel bad about leaving a session. I think like the presenters know that if you don't like it, you have to go. It's not like we knew already what they were going to say, right? It happened many times in this conference that they showed a link. I really liked the link, and the only thing I wanted to do is go somewhere else and use the link, So instead of staying at the conference, I just want to use my links.
Okay, Joseba.
Yes.
I want to jump in here, and you are so right, because a lot of times when there's so many people and you're used to being the lone wolf teacher at your school, you get too much. It's overwhelming and there's overload. I do need quiet time to sit and process whatever I have learned or whatever I need to plan for. I have to have my downtime. So either I'm in a session at the vendors or I'm somewhere else where nobody can find me, because I do have to have processing time.
I think that's very important. And also, if you feel bad about that, probably you can set up a maximum numbers of sessions, not that you allow yourself to go, or a minimum, sorry, not a maximum, a minimum. So not a maximum, or both. Because it's very unrealistic to go session to session to session, then lunch, then session, dinner, go to bed, then session. After 2 days,
it wears you out, and you have to recharge sometime.
Yep. So I think that that's like, don't feel like this is like you're doing it wrong. That's very important. I don't think there is any way of doing the conference wrong, unless if you don't go. In all honesty. And then again, the notes are very, 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 very useful. You have something to show for. Your supervisor says, "Oh, at least this person took notes." I'm very practical also in that sense, because I am aware that money, especially in public education, is scarce. So we have to learn how to ask for it, and also get in the habit of asking for it. Because if you never ask for money, then you ask for money to your principal, and he's like, "Oh, but do you need even money? Do you even need money?" It's like, "Yes, I do." And it's a sad reality, but the more money you get, the easier it is to do your job properly. I mean, let's be honest. You can do a very good job with no money, but if you have a lot of money, your stress level is going to be really low. That's where also, I mean, I didn't say it before. I didn't want to interrupt Hannah, but I think it's also very important to research scholarships to attend the conferences. I don't know if it was on the slide or not, but yeah, it's very, very important because conferences cost money, and they start costing more and more money, especially if you go to a regional one, a national one. I don't know. They seem to think that we are like, I don't know, mechanical engineers, and that we are all, like we make six figures at least. And I do not like that because it seems to me that it's slightly dishonest. I'm not trying to throw any bombs here, but with Central States, for example, sorry, Derry, I don't know if you're going to talk about Central States, but sometimes I feel like they live in la la land in terms of like prices, and then like not giving you any food at all. That sounds, and then holding the conference at a hotel that teachers cannot afford really if they pay from their pockets. That's a bone I have to pick with organizations. MLA, yeah, ACTFL. It's like, sure, yeah, it's more like a dressed for the wear. No, how is it that in English? Dressed for the job you want attitude.
Can I add something too, Joseba? I
Yes,
mean,
yes, yes. Sorry.
with that, one of the nice things is if you are willing to, the scholarship thing, definitely. There's a lot of scholarships out there, particularly for first-time attendees at a conference. So if you haven't been before, definitely, Google that or ask AI to kind of point you in the right direction, and see if you can figure out some things that might be available for you because, I mean, every little dollar counts, and I think that's helpful from that standpoint for sure. So the scholarship angle is important, but also ways to save money. I mean, we could do a whole conference, or excuse me, we could do a whole session on ways to save money going to conference because honestly, it is great if you are willing to for a couple nights share with people. You could have or cover or quadr or excuse me have or quarter your expenses for the hotel, and that makes it very reasonable, but you're still staying in a really nice place. So I had it happen once that I was at a conference that was in San Antonio, and I did a blind thing through Travelocity through a company like that. And I got a Hyatt hotel right on the Riverwalk for like $20 a night, which was crazy. Now, this was a long time ago, people. Don't get all crazy, but it was very surprising because it was one of those where you booked it and you didn't know what the hotel exactly was until after you had already agreed to stay there. So there's definitely bringing snacks and food is a great way. Also, what Joseba said about networking with people and sitting there, I mean, honestly, you don't have to feel like you have to be on all the time. If you go to these delightful locations and you want to walk the Riverwalk or you want to go see them turn the river green, or something like that. Because I say that because at Central States it was St. Patrick's Day weekend, and that was apparently the tradition is that every St. Patrick's Day Saturday, the closest one, they throw a bunch of things in the river and turn it green, and it is a very bright green. I had no idea, but it was kind of cool to see and just wander around. So don't feel like, I mean, I've done it both ways. I've been to conferences where all I did was the conference and business, and I got back, and that was fine. I've also done some where I feel like taking a little breath, taking a step away for yourself. Like when I went to Orlando, we did take a few hours at Disney, and I was glad we did. We went to the World Pavilion, Epcot and stuff. So don't try to keep an open mind as to what it is you're going to learn and what it is you're going to do, because it may be that you learn something just in an activity that is not necessarily associated with the conference.
Okay. So now we'll move on to our takeaways from Central States. And we'll start with Terry, your takeaways.
I just wanted to kind of keep it simple, and I am willing to elaborate and give any more details for anybody that wants on any of them. But I just thought, you know what, I'm going to, for four takeaways, I'm just going to pull away and then I'll tell a little bit more. And some of the things I've already spoken to a little bit earlier in the course of or someone else has spoken to. The first one is just the overall ambiance, the fact that I mean, I know for a fact that when I try to do something at my house or close around there, there's so many distractions waiting for me. So there's something powerful about going away to some place to study or to look at it because for just a little while, you're not focused on your own home and your own things that are going on. You're focused on whatever it is that you want to learn. So I feel that's good. And then I put on there, you are not alone. And the reason that I say that is because honestly, when I went to my first ACTFL, I was like, what? There's so many French teachers here. I am used to being the only one or two. And so it was eye-opening to see that. And it just made me feel like, hey, there's other people going through what I go through and learning what I do and helping kids every single day. So it just opens your eyes. You can say it as much as you want, but when you actually see it, I think it becomes a little more powerful. The second thing is the leadership. And Crystal mentioned a little bit about this. She said that she loved it, and I think Joseba did too, that you can meet some of the people that are movers and shakers in languages and that they are right there in front of you. Maybe there's somebody that wrote a textbook that you actually use or collaborated on it. Something like that. And I put also on mine in terms of leadership, it's great because Nebraska is very present. We actually had somebody from the ACTFL board, which is Alicia Schumacher. She was welcomed us in with with crazy stuff to get us excited about that too, and has been on the Central States Board as well. Hannah herself was just recently elected to the Central States Board. Yay, Hannah. And so I'm sure she'll have more to add to that too. But you see Nebraska out there is like, okay, we're not just, little, we actually have some people. We've had the teacher of the year. We've had the teacher of the year at Central States and at National. And, going to those award sessions so many times, I feel like people think nobody really sees what I do. Nobody knows how important it is. And just seeing somebody else recognized for something like this can really just be powerful for you. It can bring some of us to tears, right? So we saw some we saw some great awards, and honestly, really, it's great to see people being recognized for some of the very same things that you do every single day. So that leadership was another piece for me. Also, third, workshops. I said my faves. It's hard to kind of eliminate them down, but I'm sorry, I have a little visitor here. But I say that obviously some of them you go to and they aren't what you expect, and maybe that's okay, honestly. I mean, maybe it's something that you didn't expect, you didn't know you needed. But some of them are kind of even better than what you think they're going to be. I went to a session, the last session that I attended in Chicago was called, I'm not sure the exact name of it, but it was a Spanish and French teacher collaboration, and they hosted a year-long murder mystery in their school. And they had a body. Apparently it was an exchange student. And apparently, if they mentioned that if murder is a little strong for your school district, that you could have them steal the ACT or something, whatever you want to do. But they actually have things set up so that the students go, like they have a library, and they put like a taped body, and they wondered what the people in accounting were thinking about the fact that they ordered this blow up doll from Amazon to use as a body. So they put that there, and they taped the face of the exchange student on the front of it, which was actually a son of one of their coworkers. And they said he was just there, and they set it up. But the first thing they did is they had the kids actually go into the library and check it out. And they gave them paper and pencils and they're like, take notes. You should sketch the scene. You should act like a forensic pathologist. You should figure this out. And with the great amount of murder mystery shows that are out there and available, I think that there's definitely an interest. So that was kind of fun. But they tied it to units in their textbooks. And I believe that the Spanish and French teacher were using the same textbook. And they had like one piece of the puzzle that came out with every unit. And it kind of unified things. For instance, if they were talking about class schedules, like, okay, we need to know how to say Spanish in Spanish or whatever it is, they had the victim schedule and where did they go in the course of that day, and they had them like follow the schedule and try to figure out. And they also had like, well, who else was in that class at the same time, so you could look for likely suspects and stuff, which was super fun. And so one piece, it would be at the time where you would review what it is that your unit is about before you take a test on it. And so they gave them activities that had to do with the murder mystery, but also had to do very strongly with what they were teaching. So, they were very creative. They were up front, and they said that the two of them had collaborated a year that they both happened to have student teachers. And so they had a little more time than usual. And so they were able to kind of sit down and kind of do something that they've always wanted to do, and they made use of that time. The topper on that one, the one that I thought was just amazing, was at the end of it, they had been getting some attention and they said, we need to have a news story finishing this out. So they actually reached out to their local news station in the town. And they asked if they would be willing to record, a story that's really a fake story about the murder, and what happened. And as it happened, they recorded some at the beginning. And, they started out with their like, good morning. Can you believe this has happened at our high school in such and such, wherever? And they went through, and then they left a spot in the middle where they had a police captain that kind of ran down the specifics, who did it, why, what happened, and they can take that piece in and out. So the pieces that went on either side can be reused. So they just had them record it one time, but they'll be able to use that every year, even though, it's similar, but it's going to be a different person who did it, a different place, and a different weapon, kind of like Clue, sort of like that. And so the kids are all solving mysteries and going through. And it's not, something that takes I think it took them much more time to create it and set it up than to actually use it in the course of things. But it was fascinating. So I thought that was a great use of their extra time. I also mentioned that I saw a workshop from a presenter that had a husband and in Senegal, and had been there for a couple of years and came back to the United States and decided that not enough teachers get to visit countries that aren't in the mainstream. So she decided to do something with that. And she had all sorts of Senegalese artifacts. And she had something specific that she talked about with bridges and particular things in the presentation, but also at her booth. She had a booth as the vendor. And that is my segue to point number 4. And that is the vendors. Just like Kelly said, I love to go and talk to the vendors. And Joseba does not love to go to talk to the vendors. But you know what? It's great because there's something for everybody. It's what you want to do. And what I did is I went around from booth to booth, and I actually, yes, they had cool pens and notebooks and stickers and you name it, little buttons to give to your kids, and they were very happy. They wanted to share them. They had brought these things to do. So that was fun. But also, like, there were a few booths that were just German or just Spanish. And I still talked to him there because I took it to be, and this can be you too when you go, take yourself as a representative of your department. And so I actually really did ask some of the vendors, hey, I'm not a German teacher. But I have two German teachers that I want to take, what would you, if you were going to send something to them or tell them something or whatever, what's the message that you would give to our German teachers? And they were so kind and nice and generous. And I brought home, and I was driving instead of flying. So I was able to bring home a swag bag. So that's good. And I brought it to share with the other teachers. And hopefully that's something that gets them excited about going out there too. As Kelly mentioned so well, there are plenty of free trials of things. Nobody is really pushy. I didn't have, I mean, I suppose that I can't say that in general because it could be that at some conferences they are, but no one was at this one. It was like just very much like, I'm here to help you if you need it. Some things are for sale in the booths, like they had little readers that you could purchase that were for various different languages. They had t-shirts and flags and various other things. And, there was even a young lady there that had a jewelry booth and talked about that. So, there is a lot of, oh, wow. Kelly, I see that Kelly says Paul Sandrock attended one of her sessions. So that's
Yeah, the
awesome.
conference I went to. And
That's
you said
cool.
that with the vendors talking about books and stuff. I got a
Yeah.
lot of readers.
I
I
got some
got a
free
lot of
ones
readers
too.
because they had, yes, that's what I'm talking about, because they had the
Mhm.
spinny wheel with Von Ray up there. He had the spinny wheel, and I was just like, come on, come on. So buy two, get two free, that kind of thing. And I love the spinny wheels. You always take a chance. Every spinny wheel you see, you do it.
Sure, why not? I mean, you don't
That's
really
all I
have
got.
anything to lose. No, I agree 100%. And then when you go also from vendor to vendor and you're talking to them and they realize that you're talking to everybody, I think it's super courteous when you just are like, "Hey, you know what? Tell me what you want to tell me. Not necessarily, I don't necessarily have questions. You tell me what's the most important thing I should know as you go through there." So, yes, there's new tech and there's fun. And I wrote on my slide, I won. I won a $25 Amazon gift card. My name got drawn out of the people that filled out we had a little passport for going to see the different vendors, and so I was super excited about that. I haven't spent it yet. Don't worry, I'm still kind of pausing to see what I want to do. But when it is true, as you're talking about, them having things for sale and stuff like that. One other thing that I would mention is I heard people and they would say this. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to count on this, but if you're trying to save your pennies, this is not a bad thing to know. They don't want to carry all that stuff back. So sometimes, like the last morning, they will discount stuff quite a bit. So, so there were some people that were selling like some readers and they were, I don't know, $8 a piece or something like that. And they said, come back tomorrow. They're going to be five. So looking at the end is a good thing. And just don't be afraid to talk to them and just kind of reach out. But those are kind of my main takeaways. But I guess there is one more, and that is I ran into some people that I just love and I do not get to spend enough time with. And so, when you're someplace where you can't say, I got to go home, you can say, I got to go to my room because I've got to die. But you can't say, well, I got to go home. Kids are there waiting for me, whatever. You can just sit down and have a nice dinner or just a drink or maybe just kind of hang out together in the hotel lobby. And I think all of those things are great.
Terry, that's so true. Like you give yourself permission to stop a minute and just relax and spend time where you want to spend it for a change. You
Mhm.
know, you have to
Right.
give yourself permission to breathe and reset, and that's part of it.
100%. So don't think it's just you can't enjoy you're all a business. I can't talk about anything. Well, actually, I mean, even talking about things whatever it is that you want to, you're going to find that business things come up, things that they do or things that they use. And so it's just really kind of nice to just sit and chat with people and just find out, what they're learning and what they're doing and just putting it all together. So that's me.
No, no, I think I just, just to keep it, to curb people say, enthusiasm. I was going to say, like, you are at work for longer than you are at work usually. So it's a conference. It's not, you went to Disneyland at a conference, but that doesn't mean like the 7 hours you spend in the hotel lobby, you are at work. You are not at the gym or having fun. and if you go to the gym or if you have to go to your room, is because you really need it. You're not being naughty, you're not neglecting the conference. I think like the expectations have to be, you know, middle, I would say, give yourself time to exceed them, but also to go under. In my opinion, I don't know. I am a pretty average person for that. But yes, yes, yes. No, I mean, all the things you're saying, yeah, I think they are very accurate.
Yeah, conference days can sometimes turn into 13-hour days plus your debrief. They can
Yeah,
be
yeah. And then you have to work more because you have so many ideas that you have to implement them.
right.
Yeah, no, no. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say, like,
Yeah.
don't feel like you are not doing it right or anything like
Then
that.
you want to work more, right? Right? You say
Yes.
that.
Yeah, sure. In the plane,
Or
on the
you're
plane,
up
yeah,
all,
might as
all
well do
night
it.
being inspired.
Yeah,
And you start dreaming about stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's dangerous, but it's what happens and it's good. It's beautiful because it's what you say. You remember that you like this, and then you have new ideas, but those ideas are coming to you because you are not teaching the 6 period day.
Yeah.
Wait, you know.
From the
Right.
chat, Kelly, from the chat, yes, I did do that. When I went to the vendors at Central States, I talked to them. I found a few testers that test for proficiency for the seal. And so I got their cards and talked to them about perhaps coming to our conference. And they were very open to it. So, yeah, that's something else too. You just never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to run into.
Sweet. Right. So, for my takeaways, I have a couple to share from ACTFL and from Central States. So the first one from ACTFL is talking about the teacher preparation standards that have changed from ACTFL in 2025. So this was from last fall that this happened. And so there was some considered and then shortly thereafter approved revisions that happened to teacher preparation standards that had a higher priority on self-assessment and reflective practice. This is something that has been, oh, did I just freeze? There we go. Um, did I freeze? Or are we back? We're back? Okay, cool. That's been happening recently. Um, so this has been something that I have seen as a trend across a lot of different spaces, is this focus on self-assessment and practice, both for teachers and students, as we kind of think about our agency in learning language. And so that has been something that has been a lot more of an intentional focus when it comes to teacher preparation programs and how we're preparing our next generation of language teachers to go into the workforce. There also has been this increased maybe push towards seeing language teaching as a really interdisciplinary field. I think with a lot of the conversation surrounding CTE, that career and technical education field, there's a lot of push towards thinking about language learning, incorporating a lot of different disciplines, not just becoming siloed into one thing that kind of gets forgotten or left and not really incorporated with the rest of the school. So those are some of the really big priorities that they we're including in those revisions. And then the new format of the standards is those 6 standards. It's organized into 6 standards, which include language proficiency. So for most languages, the language proficiency threshold is advanced low. And then the other standards are content knowledge, which includes things like cultural practices, geography, things like that, practices in language acquisition, how to develop all 4 domains, world readiness, which is like how to go out and actually participate in language communities, assessment and impact on learning, and then professional learning for one's own teaching practice. So that's the ACTFL and CAPE is what those standards are called, and teacher prep standards. So just so that we know what we're going to be seeing from our new generation of language teachers, this is what, starting from the next year, our teacher preparation programs for that adhere to those ACTFL standards are going to be looking for. So that's something that is new. All right. Thanks, Kelly, for joining. that is new that we'll be seeing a lot more with new teachers. So I got excited about that because I like thinking about our new teachers. Then also from ACTFL, but also I heard about it a lot at Central States, was that focus on self-assessment. So we heard it in ACTFL in a couple of different ways, and we heard it in ACTFL when it came to those new CAPE standards when we're thinking about how we're training new teachers on how to become great teachers, but also in Central States, more in the context for how do we train or how do we teach students to become better language learners? And the big piece is really focusing in on self-assessment. And so the main piece was thinking about how self-assessment should empower learners so that that self-assessment is really giving learners some motivation with their learning. It's helping them with their own goal setting. So they should be setting their language learning goals. They should be taking that agency. They should be having the motivation and progress monitoring through regular self-assessment. It's not that they're just self-assessing at the end of each unit. Rather, they're kind of self-assessing at the beginning, continuously through the middle, maybe even a couple different times, and at the end so that they can see exactly where they're at and track their progress pretty regularly, which requires on our end as teachers and as educators some really clear expectations and really clear rubrics so that our students know exactly what they're supposed to be looking for when they're doing those self-assessments. We were given a lot of really cool examples from Megan Budke and I forget the other presenter who presented, but two really great presenters out of Minnesota who shared some really great examples of self-assessment. And they wrote a book actually for ACTFL on learner feedback in specifically language teaching that talks about self-assessment. And I bought the book because it was on discount if you went to the session. So I just got it in the mail and I'm going to read it and then report back. But there was a ton of focus on feedback and how self-assessment and feedback work together so that students know exactly where they're at, exactly how they're supposed to be progressing, and how that goal setting and constant like feedback, self-assessment, and monitoring really can push students' own proficiency and understanding of their proficiency and actual growth. And then one of the other things that we see as a trend when it comes to self-assessment is making sure that those self-assessments aren't just arbitrary goals that we're setting as teachers, but that they're aligned to standards or domains or proficiency indicators. So these could be standards that are set out by the state. These could be domains. So if you're looking for speaking specific tasks, writing specific tasks, listening specific tasks, depending on what it is that you're hoping to push them in or hoping to see growth in, or you can even do it by specific proficiency indicators. As we in Nebraska are looking forward to our new world language standards, I think that'll be something to look forward to too. So hopefully next fall, this is something that we might want to circle back to and think, how are we thinking about self-assessment now so that by the time that we have our new world language standards, we know how to implement and think about in a strategic way, how can we implement some of these self-assessment strategies in a way that are aligned to those standards, to those domains, and to those proficiency indicators so that we can really push our students towards some really strong proficiency growth. And then I have one more thing before I have a bit of a favor to ask of everyone in the room, and then we'll open it up for discussion with like maybe 10 minutes left and questions. While I was at Central States, we had the opportunity to meet with some other state organization leaders who are leading organizations similar to NEBLA. So they're organizations specifically for world language educators at the state level. And so at the table were state organization leaders from Indiana, Kansas, Missouri, and North Dakota. And one of the really big questions, well, we all had a lot of similarities. Although we're from different states, we're all from the Midwest. We had a lot of similar points of where we were in our different organizations, in terms of size, in terms of where we were with organizing different events for teachers, and where we were with just like the population of like what teachers are coming, what teachers don't we see represented all the time, things like that. Where are we with you know, just general organization logistics. And so one of the big questions that came up was, how do we bring in more people? How do we bring in new energy? How do we bring in new leaders? And how do we create regular micro leadership opportunities? And the person who was there representing Kansas said this word, micro leadership opportunities. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I love that word. I'm totally stealing that word because I love it. So something that's like potentially low commitment that has something there that's a little step into the leadership maybe field where you don't know if you're really wanting a whole lot of commitment, you don't want a whole lot of responsibility, but you want to see what that world is like. And so we all had this question, and I think it's a question that we see largely as a field, but also as state organization leaders. And so something that I want to get us thinking about is, now that we've heard all of these takeaways and all of these ideas that all of our wonderful presenters shared from our conference, takeaways and knowledge, what are some things that we can do as these micro leadership opportunities to kind of inspire that new energy? What are those things that we can be offering as opportunities to get people involved, to get new leadership, to get people interested in being a part of maybe not just specifically NEBLA, but to become more involved in all of it? So if you could take a couple minutes, this is a Padlet. You should have access to post. If not, let me know.
Did you share anything with us on the chat? No.
It is, can you see my screen? You should be able to just like scan it.
I was I was just looking
Scoot
at you.
over just a little bit. It's kind of like half in the picture, half not. There you go. That's
Okay.
better. Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't have your share screen projected. I only had you talking to me.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I chose it. It's a choice. It was a conscious choice.
Thank you. This is great. A great conversation. Any questions? Also, I would like to say, if any of you need a professional development certificate, please send me a private message with your name and also your oops. Okay. With your name and also your email so that I can make it. Instead, if you don't send me your email and name, it takes a lot of time for me to get it from the system. Here is the link. I also put the link of the QR code in the chat. So if QR code doesn't work for you, here it is. And also, if anybody want to submit a proposal to Central State Conference or similar conference, please, if you need somebody to review your proposal or want to get some feedback before you submit your proposal, you're welcome to contact me. And I can help. My proposals to Central State were accepted. Like 90% of my proposals were accepted. ever since 2016. So I kind of know what they're looking for. So I can, if you need any help, please let me know. Oh, we have a question.
Hannah, also from the chat, somebody said, "What's the book on self-assessment called?"
Yes, I just responded.
Oh,
It's
never
called
mind. I
Learning
just wanted to make sure
Feedback.
you saw.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. All right. I think we don't have any other questions. Thank you very much, our lovely board members from NEBLA.
Thank you so
Yes,
much
please
for
leave
having
some
us.
ideas in the chat or in the Padlet.
Yep.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Well, cheers. Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, see you soon. Hope probably somewhere.
Thank you. I already saw
I
some
took my video.
ideas
I was with my
there.
phone and stuff. But yeah. I hope this was useful for everybody. But yeah, well, guys, I'm gonna go. I have to go prepare an activity for tomorrow. I'm going to the Asian market to buy snacks for my students.
Fun.
So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm very excited. Don't worry. But yeah, Hannah, I don't think I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go to China. I already took up a summer job, so I don't think it's gonna be. I mean,
And
it was
I
very
just
tempting. I've
opened
been
the
thinking about it a lot, but the money and the time and you know, and leaving my wife and my dogs alone was a little bit too much. And then when they offered me my summer job again, I said yes because I really like working at the farm in summer. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you though. Thanks for
Well-
organizing that. It does sound like I do not wanna, you know, die without going to China at least. So yeah.
Well, in 2 years, if you are itching to go again, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to tell you for sure. No, I'm sure a lot of people were like, sure, yeah, at the beginning of the year, and they are like,
You're right.
fire.
Okay.
But I want to be straightforward and say no.
There
I
we
mean,
go. Thank you.
it's not like crazy. Yeah, I mean.